Hello, and welcome back to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are finally back after my incredible trip to Greece, where I saw all the amazing um, things that you could possibly see. I went to Delphi. I saw the where the Eleusinian mysteries were held. I went to the temple to Demeter on Naxos. I went all over the place. It was rather amazing. So we are back though, and we're going to talk about cleansing, and maybe in another video I'll show pictures of all that stuff. But we're going to talk about
Mhm.
cleansing, and we're talking about topics in cleansing. So we're going to talk about various, the way that we did with the banishing, but this time we're moving into the cleansing topics. So here we go, and Raven is going to
Okay.
lead to start us out. Hop on.
Yeah. Okay. So I put cues on there. So cleansing cues. So our first topic, what
Cute.
are we cleansing? So what are we cleansing? I said yucky stuff. Bad vibes, negative energy. I like to think of them as like energetic cobwebs, which I'll talk more about on the next slide. Um, But yeah, just yucky stuff that we don't want to be there. And that doesn't need like banishing necessarily, but just like tidying up what needs to be tidied up.
Yeah.
Should I go through all of mine and then you'll go through all of
Yeah.
yours?
Yeah.
Okay, go. So then this ties to the next question, which is why would your magical space get like dirty or unclean, and when and why would you need a cleansing herb? So I gave you a lot of wins when I cleanse. So after not having sat in my space for a while, like this is my space where I pull my cards and stuff if I'm not on the floor. And if it's been a while since I've like sat in my space to pull cards, then I'll give it a good cleanse. Like for example, I've been so busy with work, I haven't even pulled cards in like a week. And so or done anything kind of magical in like a week. So I cleanse this corner real well before I pulled cards today. After my period, because my period is incredibly painful, and once I'm off of it, then I want to like cleanse. I do like a deep, like everything shower where I like scrub head to toe on myself, and then I cleanse my space because I feel like there's just during a difficult and painful time like that, I want to like clean afterwards. After a fight with my partner, if we fought in the room, after a bad day and I feel like I'm bringing home yuckiness. If I'm setting my sacred space, then I will cleanse the space. Cleansing my body before a sacred space. So if I'm going to actual sit in ritual, then I like to cleanse like my physical body in usually a bath or a shower. Cleansing my chakras, especially while I'm doing like sitting in ritual space. I cleanse my altar space when I'm doing a recess. So I reset my altar after every full moon. Yeah. Well, I don't think that we've talked about my altar on this channel, but I have everything set up in a candle that I have on there all month. And then at the full moon, I burn the candle. And then as the moon starts waning, then I start cleaning my space. And so I kind of clean it. And then once I take everything off, then I cleanse the space. Cleansing items that I'm newly going to use in ritual. And then before I kind of wear anything that I'm going to wear frequently. So any new jewelry or mostly jewelry, I guess. Then will cleanse that jewelry. Let me get rid of this little bar here. So I cleanse for everything. Like, if I'm feeling like there's some yucky stuff, then I cleanse. If I'm feeling like there's some of that like energetic cobweb where I haven't sat in space in a while, or if I haven't used a tool in a while, then I'll cleanse it.
Nice. Nice. I know.
Um,
I like if I'm moving into a new space, like in just moving in general, or just even for a
mhm,
temporary period, I'll probably cleanse that space because not my energy necessarily, even though it may not
mhm.
be bad, like I cleanse energy that just isn't like conducive to my like vibration or my
Yeah,
energy. So I do
yeah.
that. I was trying to think when else I cleansed. Um, yeah, you said during your period, but if I've been sick sometimes in that space, I'll
Mm,
cleanse or um yeah, I think you got the rest.
yeah.
Good.
What do you think about the yucky stuff? Anything to add to that one?
Um, yeah, like I don't even know that it has to be yucky to cleanse necessarily. Like I just think other people's energy. I cleanse other
Mm,
people's energy out of my space, like when I want to key in or be like single focused or like well, I want like to be even if I want to meditate like deeply, like I want to like cleanse other people's it doesn't even have to be bad, but
mm.
just their garbage out of my cube of
Yeah, your like physical bubble.
yeah, yeah. It just
Yeah,
I want it to be free of other people's vibrations.
yeah.
So
That's how I agree with that. And that's how I feel about like I think cleansing new like jewelry and new
mhm,
magical tools and stuff that I get. It's like I'm not assuming that the person who like held this ring before me or the person who created it was like bad or had bad vibes, but it's just like I feel like cleansing it is like re helping to reset the slate so that I can then imprint my own energy onto it.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of so whenever you want to reset the slate,
Mm-hmm.
so whenever you kind of just want
Mm-hmm.
a fresh space, if you're that's
Yeah.
in all of these times, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so cleansing your environment versus self-cleaning.
Mm.
So, I'll go into this a little bit more, but I basically just said same concept. It's just, um, I think that when I cleanse, I don't often cleanse one without the other. Like if I'm cleansing my space, I'm also going to kind of cleanse myself. Like if I'm cleansing with smoke, I smudge or I cleanse the space and then I cleanse my body or my body and then space, whatever. And I often don't do them individually. So like in my mind, it's the same thing. Like cleansing is cleansing. And there might be some times where I feel like I need to cleanse myself more than my space, but I'm still going to cleanse my space. And if I feel like my space is really bad, I'm still going to just it's like I don't know, like splashing water on my face. I'm just gonna, while I have it, I might as well give myself a little washing down. So to me, it's not really different because I do them like at the same time. Now, well, I would guess even the things that you're cleansing when you're cleansing yourself versus your environment are pretty similar. Bad vibes, other people's energy, negativity, like any of that stuff. I feel like it's pretty much the
Giving
same.
yourself a hard reset. Sometimes I need to
Yeah,
give
sometimes
myself a
we need
hard
it.
reset. A lot of times. Maybe cleanse
Yeah.
myself and send myself to bed.
Yeah.
I feel
Uh,
like there's just maybe some differences would be like the types of cleansing available. Like self-cleansing, like bathing and showering can be part of, and you know what? I've wanted to like I need to make like a shower because I don't have a bath, which is like I haven't had a bath in a long time. Like
mm,
anywhere I am, even at John's, nobody has a bath. And
mm,
and so like I want to like I would like to get some sort of like I'd like to maybe even do like a series on maybe I'll use that with like well, we already did the one for cleansing, but I would like to have some sort of like shower witchiness, showering witchiness.
mm.
Sachets that you could put in the shower or making those little discs that you can like have the water
The
like
steamers.
yeah, steaming discs and or something
Hmm.
like that. Because I
Yeah.
feel like even cleansing in the shower like is so it's so soothing and so
Hmm.
lovely and it's like tons of water rushing over your body. And I feel like there's like so there's stuff that you can self cleanse, even though you may also smoke cleanse yourself. So, but there's different maybe techniques for different things. So, but the idea is the
Yeah, I was kind of like thinking about that too when I was writing this. I was like, maybe there's different things that I would do to like cleanse myself versus my environment. So I kind of agree with you, but I think that I would still, like for myself, would still find a match. Like if I'm bathing obviously is my number one, but I agree. I think that shower, I mean, I think anytime you are getting yourself like fully wet,
yeah.
especially your hair, it doesn't have to be your hair, but especially like if you're washing your hair, the whole thing is very like cleansing. Like my shower is set up just like my bath. I have crystals in my shower. I have fairy lights like on the roof, like on the
Mhm.
seal, not the roof, but the ceiling of my shower. I usually shower with I have a light on, or I light above my shower and then a light in the other corner of the bathroom. And usually when I'm showering, I don't turn on the light in the shower because if I'm cleansing, I want it to be a little bit dark, you know?
Yep. I
So,
totally, yep.
but like even yeah. But even if I'm like cleansing myself in the shower, then I usually would come out and cleanse my space with like a spray or an asperge. But it is technically different, so I would agree with that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Okay, so is cleansing about returning to an original state or creating a new one? So I said it for me, it kind of depends on what we're cleaning. Like if I'm cleansing something negative, then I like to imagine it getting recycled through earth, like blowing on a dandelion puffball, and then the seeds like flowing down into the dirt and then eventually kind of breaking down and decomposing. And that's how I see like negativity
yeah.
cleansing is like recycling. We've talked about that before. I love the concept of like recycling energy. If it's something like cobwebs, like if I just haven't been in my space and it needs like a freshen up, then I kind of imagine them like disappearing in the air, like cotton candy does in water. Like as I'm dusting them off, they just kind of disappear. And maybe still then, I mean, I haven't really thought about it this much, but maybe still then like the particles go to the earth. But I think it just depends. And then, so I see them as being recycled, and then put into something new, like something new growing from that. I see them as kind of disappearing. Or if it's something like crystals, then I imagine it kind of like exploding. Like I imagine the crystals emitting like a wavelength and like hitting things and just kind of like pop rocks, like hitting all of the stuff that I need to cleanse out and then those wavelengths break them down. So for me, I think that it depends on what I'm cleansing.
So, so I like it depends. You're right, it depends, but I look at it kind of like maybe I'm reading this in a different way, but like
Mm.
I look at cleansing as like if I'm so like whatever cleansing herb or cleansing technique that I'm using, like if it was like bleach, like it would return, like it would clean out like everything and return the space to like however like the builder like made it.
Oh,
Like however the
you're
builder
talking about the space. I'm talking
or
about
like
the energy.
yeah, like but cleaning out the energy. So am
Mm,
I. So like cleaning
yeah,
out the energy, like I'm just
yeah.
likening it to bleach. So it's like cleaning out the
Mm,
energy so
mm-hmm.
that it's like a fresh, like clean, original, like box of no energy or of just like energy that was there when it was created. Or in my room, I feel like even when I cleanse, it's like got my like energy is in the walls. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that when I cleanse, it's not, it's returning it to like my original state. So
Mm,
it's like my, it's like I have already put my energy, like I've like put a coat of paint on. So even when you
yeah,
bleach, like my coat of paint is still there. It's
yeah,
just like like that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like,
yeah.
for me, it's like not, when I do a cleansing, it's not creating some like hybrid new cleansed state necessarily of energy. It's like taking it back to maybe not, well, if I wasn't there yet, like an original state or like
Yeah.
getting rid of everything back to like, I would think almost like what's there naturally, like organic materials that's they're giving it energy. Like I have like
Hmm.
pine in the walls and like stuff and like it would take it back. Like if I was coming into a new space and I cleansed it of all like the weird energy, it would take it back down to like where I could put my energy into that space then. It would take it back
Yeah.
to some like original state or
Yeah.
especially if I really felt like there was bad energy, then I would do a banishing maybe first of something and
Hmm.
then cleanse it. And then it would take it back to like its original state prior to its disturbance by negativity or by just even other energy.
So let's say that you let's just for like the sake of this example, let's say you're cleansing something negative. So let's say like you come home and you're having a shitty day, or like you had a
Okay.
fight with somebody in your space or something,
Okay.
and you're cleansing the space. The way
Okay.
that I answered it, and so what I'm gonna ask you is like, what do you think? I understand about like after you cleanse the space is returning to like your space or something,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what do you think is happening to the negative
Oh.
energy?
Oh, well, I think it's like usually I just feel like it's like I just like disappearing like the in the air like cotton
Mm,
candy. Usually like just like
yeah.
it's like evaporating or just
Yeah.
like get diffusing out of the walls and
Mm,
windows of my space or like out of
yeah.
me or like something like that's like my imagery that I use
Yeah.
at least.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if I'm cleansing something of mine, whether it's my body, my space, whatever, then I don't really think that I can cleanse out. I mean, maybe I could, but I don't really think that I like cleanse out my own
No.
like energy from that space because it's like mine. It's like, yeah, intertwined in the molecules of like that thing. So
Yeah,
I
like I've
fully
already
agree with
put
you on
my, it's
that.
like I've already consecrated
Yeah.
this space to my use. Like
Yeah.
me cleansing the space doesn't disrupt the consecrated use that I've already created, whether it's like to be my
Yeah.
room or to be my it's whatever I've consecrated the use for, like
Hmm.
me cleansing my space doesn't disrupt that energy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, agreed. Fully agreed. Okay, so when burning an herb, resin, etc., am I in dialogue with the plant, the smoke, the ancestors, myself, etc.? So I like this, and I think it's a lot. I think that I'm in dialogue with everything. I think that I'm in dialogue with the plant spirit or like the plant energy, and I think that that's important because I don't know if you and I have talked about this on here, but we've talked about it outside of here where we're not like using the plant, right? We're working with the plant.
We're
Like
going to
I'm
talk
not.
about that more when I go because I have a
Okay,
whole
good.
section on animism and
Yeah.
like how we
Oh,
think
right.
they
Yeah,
work. So
good.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like really mindful even about like my verbiage and like my thoughts when I am working with the plant because it's not like mine, like I'm not,
Hmm.
it's not a tool that I'm like using, it's an energy that I'm working with.
Yep.
So I think that I'm in dialogue with that energy. I think that I'm in dialogue with the element through which I am cleansing. So if I'm using like the heat from a candle and using like that heat to cleanse, then I'm in dialogue with fire. If I'm spraying or spurging, I'm in dialogue with the element of water, like etc. And
Hmm.
so I think I'm in dialogue with the energy. I think I'm in dialogue with the elements. And I also think I'm in dialogue with my higher self because to me, my higher self is like my most magical self with absolutely no ties to like this time and space. And so I include her, my higher self, in like everything that I do magically. I also try to like talk to my higher self outside of magical space, but especially in magical space. And so I don't really have a strong relationship with ancestor working. I've tapped into or I've tried to tap into it. There's not a connection. Hopefully at some point there will be, but I haven't really had a connection with ancestor working. Otherwise, I might be in dialogue with them too. But I think that I'm in dialogue with, yeah, like everything that is lending its energy to the act of me cleansing.
I agree with all of that, and I just want to tie into that ancestor thing. Like,
Mm,
I would love to to get a hold of like some like little mini class that we could do to like a
mm,
little video like a asynchronous, that's the word I'm using,
yeah.
asynchronous class
Yeah.
like that was on videos that we could like
Mm,
get into about like getting like you like partnering with your ancestors for witchy magic right now,
yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
something that I've like I know like my ancestors like are powerful, and I know that like my female relatives now, there and on my dad's side there are some of them that consider themselves witches, and so or and magical in that way, and I'm wondering if they like they're how far down the rabbit hole that goes, or if it's just something that was like fashionable that they said at one time, but I don't know, they seem to like that's just like I haven't like dug into my family. It's like a little weird to talk to my family too. Like my family isn't like tight, and I've got like two completely discrepant groups like in my family, especially religiously. And so it's kind of like weird to get to the root of what anybody really says or does, but I would definitely like to work with like my badass ancestors. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely interested in that. I've tried, like I said, I mean, on my own, I haven't taken like a class. I would be very interested in a class, but yeah, I don't have that connection. You know what though? I also look at ancestors as like witchy women of the past, and I feel a connection to that type of ancestry, if it would still be called ancestry. I feel more of a connection to that rather than
your
my like
genetic,
actual blood
yeah.
lineage kin. Yeah. Which I would definitely be interested in, but it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be interested in a class as well.
Yeah. I know, going all the way back. That would be a great
Yeah.
tie-in. Like maybe it's something we should be creating if we're saying like I feel like
Yeah.
every time I say like we need to have a class, an asynchronous class that we can't seem to find anywhere, like
Yeah.
I feel like that ties back, that goes all the way back to like all these archaeological digs where women like were clearly like the like worshipped, and mother was worshipped, and all these like religions, and before like men came and
Hmm.
stole the everything and shit
Yeah.
on everyone but themselves. But
Yeah,
who their in
honestly.
group is, you
Yeah.
know, whoever the male in group at the time. Like I
Yeah.
feel like and tracing that history back either through your own ancestors or through like you said, just like archetypal type of ancestors who belong to us. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should create that probably.
It-
Is cleansing about separation, removing the unwanted, or union, and reconnecting with the sacred? And so I said, in my mind, it's kind of like removing the unwanted or what's wanted but no longer needed. So kind of cutting that tie a little bit and like reconnecting it with the mother. Because again, I'm very much of like the recycle mentality. And so for me, it is a little bit about separation or like removing something. Um, but in the process of removing it, we are then reconnecting it, right? Like, again, from the standpoint of the energy itself, not necessarily the space, but the energy itself, I separate it and then I do reconnect it with like the sacred mother and Mother Earth and stuff. If we're talking about the space, I don't really think about this in terms of like the space itself, but I guess it's along the same lines, like removing something that isn't wanted, whether it's somebody else's energy or something negative or just something like old and dusty. And yeah, just like reconnecting it. So I would say both.
So I think we're gonna get to this like bringing in the good energy, but like as far as
Mm,
reconnect, like I think some herbs are like meant to be cleansing and kind of, I don't know. I think that those are like two kind of things. Like I cleanse something and then I reconnect with the sacred and bring that sacred back into the space that I've cleansed. Or,
mm,
but as far as like sending that unwanted thing, maybe I do send it with somewhere sacred, but maybe not. Maybe I send it directly
mm.
down to fucking pits of hell. Maybe I send it somewhere where it can be
Mm,
resurrected again. It depends on what it is, I suppose.
yeah.
But I feel like maybe those two, like bringing, and like it just comes into my mind right now, but Palo Santo is like a perfect herb that like both cleanses and reconnects with the sacred and brings in that new sacred energy. So there are some herbs that are like made to do that, that like that's their language. But I
Hmm.
feel like some herbs are like very like I don't know, like astringent or bleachy, or not that they are that,
Hmm.
but like that's their energy. Their energy is like to scrape away stuff, to like just get rid of stuff. And I feel like maybe even like sage usually is done with that. There's like a lot, although sage can be nice, but I feel like sage really is like a cleanser. So, but there's
Yeah.
like a lot of herbs that
I feel
those,
like pine is like that too. Like pine is
yeah.
really like getting in those grooves, like to clean it, like,
Exactly. Exactly. And
yeah.
so then when I want to come back in, like maybe I'm the sacred when I re-enter that space. Maybe I am the sacred and I like bring that energy. Or maybe like I'm bringing back in the mother with me, or like, whatever it is. Like I feel like that's like
Hmm.
maybe as a second act. Like if we want to separate that out, like
Yeah.
two acts going on there.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Then is it possible, the video is always like, is it possible when we cleanse, we erase traces of memory, story, lessons, etc., that still hold wisdom? And so I said, I don't know. I I don't really think so. I think that when we cleanse, it's more like wiping dirt off of our clothes. It's like if the counters have crumbs on them, I am cleansing it, right? I'm washing the counters. Like I see it as, yeah, like cleaning stuff that shouldn't be there. Now, there could be something left in the negativity. So if I'm in like a negative space, if I feel negative energy in my space and I'm cleansing my space, there could potentially be like a lesson or something in that negativity. But I say if I'm still seeing it in a negative way, if I see it as like the negative aspect, then I'm not going to learn anything from it anyway, right? Like me seeing it in the negative light isn't going to do any like benefits. It's not going to do me any favors. I'm not ready to learn from that. So even if there is, which I don't really think that there is, but even if there is something still to be learned from that, I think it wouldn't matter anyways. So I might as well just get it out, you know?
Yeah, taking a cleansing shower or using like some sort of cleansing herb to smoke cleanse your room isn't like erasing a
Hmm.
memory chalkboard in your head.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
even if you get rid of like that negativity that's like
Yeah.
energetically pervading your space, you can still
Hmm.
reflect on it. Like, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
still, like, you're not like, oh,
Yeah.
it's gone. Like, memory's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
I
gone.
don't have to be in like a bad environment to understand the lessons that needed to be learned from that environment.
Thank you.
Like sometimes
Exactly.
it's better not to be in that environment.
Most of the times. Most of the times. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think we talked about this a little bit in the banishing topic, which I think would be more applicable here, but cleansing, not really.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you decide whether to cleanse with smoke, water, salt, sound, light, or another method? And I said it doesn't really matter. It's just like what we say all the time. Like it just depends on what calls to you. Now, I know that some people, I'm not sure about you, but some people say that there are specific methods to use for specific instances, but I don't really follow that viewpoint. I think whatever is like calling out to me is what I'm meant to use in that time. Sometimes it'll be singing bowls. Sometimes I'll walk in a room and be like, ooh, it just feels weird. And then I'll grab my room spray. And, so I think it's just whatever. Now, in like a sacred space, I typically use all four because I like to bring in all four of the elements. And so I cleanse with all four elements and I keep those things that I'm using to cleanse in the space to bring in that elemental energy. But my only real kind, and it's not even really a rule, but I do find myself gravitating more towards if it's raining outside, then I like to cleanse with water. Because I feel like that's what the mother is doing. She's cleansing herself by raining. And so I'm gonna do that as well for like myself and my space. But other than that, I feel like it's just whatever I'm drawn to.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna my immediate answer before I even saw the your answer. Whatever you
Yeah.
intuitively think to do, like
Yeah.
that's the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like whatever, and I love like the sound and the light because we always think about smoke and spraying aspergine or water or whatever.
Hmm.
But like those definitely like sound and light are definitely like ways to use as well. So I like that. Yeah.
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 Nice.
Good one.
And I think that that's something that when I have conversations with people about topics like any of these type of like esoteric-ish topics, I say the same thing. And you and I know both stand like all 10 toes on the ground with this, where there's not necessarily rules. And I feel like you feeling like you need to follow rules is putting chains on yourself. Like you should trust yourself enough, or at least like work up to the goal of trusting yourself to follow like that intuitive process of knowing like what herb is calling out to you. Now, we use specific herbs for specific intentions as well because we study the herbs and we're so familiar with them that we know a lot of times what they like to be used in and stuff. But when it comes to other things, and sometimes herbs, like if something is calling to you, if you're feeling a little bit of a lean towards something, you should go with that. Like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't
run
you?
with
You
it.
know? Yeah.
Exactly. Especially because so and like even so we're like I was at a I don't know what it was. It was like some sort of craft night somewhere and I was just being called to make like a tool to be used as like a sound cleansing. Like it was like it's like a almost like a wand,
Mhm.
like a rattle, but like with bells on it. And I love that for sound cleansing. Like that's one of my favorite like types of
Mhm.
cleansing is this like
Yeah.
bell kind of rattle that I make.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
yeah. So run with
Oh,
whatever
I just got a notice. Internet connection unstable. I'll probably freeze
shot.
in a second. But yeah, yeah, I do like bells.
Fuck
You
your
know what
internet.
I am like really seriously. There's two things that I really, really love. So I definitely agree you can cleanse with sound for sure, 100%. But I'm not usually drawn to that method. Sometimes, but not usually. But there's two sound aspects that when other people use them, like I feel locked into them. Like I love them so much. And one is Koji chimes. I love
Oh.
a Koji chime. Oh
Ooh.
my gosh.
Oh
Have
my
you ever
gosh,
heard Koji chime?
no, I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna
Oh my
Google it,
gosh.
internet, listen to Koji chimes. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to buy some.
It's
Okay.
amazing. It's made with like, I don't know what it is, but it's some type of wood, like bamboo maybe.
Uh-huh.
And the sound, I don't know what's like in them to make the chime. I don't know if it's like balls inside of the like shoot or what it is, but it sounds so nice. I love them. And then the other one is I don't know what it's called, but one of my favorite like YouTubers who does a lot of meditations and stuff, she uses them sometimes and they're big. They're like this big. And it looks kind of like I guess a little bit like a tuning fork, but there's a thing in the middle and the two ends of it move. So you'll like slap it and it like so the two arms hit the thing inside and it makes this sound and it sounds almost like a tuning fork, but it's like much softer and I'll have to find the term for that. I love that one too, and she's the only person I've ever seen use them. Um, but yeah, those are two of my favorite sounds.
I love
So
that.
yeah, amazing. Okay. Can over cleansing, constantly clearing energy become ungrounding and destabilizing? And I said, I don't think so. Like the concept would be equivalent of like like over sweeping the ground or like over wiping down the counters. I don't think that you can do it too much. You might maybe be doing it when like you don't need to, but I think if you're feeling the drive to do it, then you probably need to do it. But I don't think that you can like overdo it.
And if so, my thoughts is the other way. If you're over cleansing, like constantly clearing your space, like you may
Yeah.
already be ungrounded or destabilized. Like that
Yeah.
might be a sign that you need to ground, that you need to
Yeah.
stabilize yourself in a different way
Yeah.
because like that
Yeah.
is that could be like a sign of maybe some
Yeah.
disordered behavior, like some
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
mean,
maybe you need to like make better
I struggle with
decisions.
some of that, like that
Yeah.
OCD-ish kind of feeling,
Hmm.
not about over cleansing, but
Yeah.
about some other things, like things have to be like a certain way. Like I get that kind of feeling. So I understand it. So I'm not being critical or anything, but that might be a clue if you feel like if you notice yourself, wow, I feel like I'm like do I even need to be cleansing like this? And I feel like a constant tug to continue to cleanse. Like that might be like a time to like do chakra meditations, do root chakra meditation, like kind of, figure it out what's
Yeah.
going on. So that's it's kind
Yeah.
of like I flipped it on its head. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's
I
gonna
think
hurt anything to over cleanse.
yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be like it's not gonna
Not
hurt.
necessarily useful.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna say also, like, if you're feeling like your space or yourself constantly needs to be cleansed, then maybe you should consider like what is causing you to feel like
yes,
that you
go
need a
deeper.
cleanse and don't do those things. Like maybe you need to make better decisions or something like that. But
Yeah, go
yeah,
deeper. Yeah, what's at the root
yeah,
of the
yeah.
like need to over cleanse? Like what or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you like need to consider like I don't know, like maybe where you live isn't a good environment or maybe,
Yeah,
maybe like there's some
yeah.
deeper things that need to be thought through
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, even though like I agree, over cleansing isn't gonna like hurt anything, but I
Yeah.
worry for people that feel like so ungrounded and destabilized that they feel like they need to cleanse all the time.
Yeah. And especially if you're feeling like you need, I fully agree. But I feel like to take that even a step further, especially if you feel like you need a deep cleanse all the time. Like to me, in my mind, a deep cleanse is like multiple modalities of cleansing. So if I need to do like a deep cleanse or something, then I might do like both like sound and spray and like smoke smudging or something. And so also like if you feel like you need to do a deep cleanse all the time, that's another issue maybe you want to think about too. Like on top of that is why. Like if I'm going to do a quick just little spritz and then walk under it to cleanse myself every day, okay, maybe. But if you're like, no, I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to do this every day, like, ooh, something's not
Exactly.
probably where it should be.
Exactly.
That's it. That's my last one.
Nice.